Howdy. So I'm gonna work with the Mystic Circuits. Is that way? That's the correct way. Mystic Circuits 0 HP OR gate. What I've noticed, especially from the last video, is that the trig out being a modulation point is really cool. And I just did a patch quickly that I wanted to pretty much redo to see if I can even get myself to mentally redo it. Where I use a shape changer and then two prismatic rays, um, and a LFO, and that's pretty much it. And then also use, the stencil is going out and the out of this. Or the out of this is filtering shape changer. You'll see, you'll see, you'll see. So right now we'll just start with the out going to the or from the OR gate to the cadet green. Then we're gonna take one prismatic ray, go to horizontal, another prismatic ray, go to vertical, boom. And next, we were gonna take the horizontal out. Actually, I should put the stackables there. Horizontal out into one in, and then another one, the vertical into the other in. Okay. So that's what we got so far. Let's make that horizontal so you can see. It's pretty cool, a fair amount. You can do the shape changer, but let me just show you what the output would look like. Let's just mix it, and then we'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll just do it straight to the cadet. So that's the mix. So you can see obviously it's a lot more defined, and wow, I haven't done that before. That is really cool. Note that. Prismatic ray waveform right here and the waveform here. I should really memorize those. I apologize. Pretty much just being mixed. Mixer out to green creates this awesome square. Awesome. What's the stencil look like? Okay, that's pretty cool. So we have the mixer, and then let's say if these were just two complete going out, you can. Okay, so you can see, the definition of this section and that section. So now let's route through the HP, or the H0 HP OR gate. So, bam, and now we're going out. Okay, so you can still see the definition, but you can see what I mean. Like before, it's not as pronounced, but I find that beneficial. See, I think you can get because of the subtlety, it's a little easier to control, or the intensity of it, I should say. Then you have a little more control of said subtlety. So next, what I was doing is, let's get a stackable on the trig out, and have that go to, let's say, this frequency. All right, let's try this one. Okay. This is what I really liked about this, is how nice. Oh, thanks, camera. Let me turn this down a touch again. How nice it creates these lines without overloading. That's something I really like to do with the filters too, is to use that as a modulation point. But let's try the pedestal. That is really cool. That's what I really like to see. This little kind of like feedback-ish type of look. And you have that little interesting obelisk right there. So yeah, that's just from the trig out. Let's split it, and then go to this pedestal, or I should say frequency, and then what I wanted to do, just to add a little more color, and this is like what kind of blew my mind, is when I did the stencil out to, let's say, like the blue, or actually it was the red, is just I know you can do parts of this, with the shape change and everything, but having this zero HP OR gate. I keep wanting to say zero gate. I apologize. It gives you some interesting feedback look, and my camera keeps doing that too. It has a really cool feedback look. So sorry about that, people. Which I really dig. And so yeah, that's in the pedestal, right? Let's just say in the frequency. And this is what I really like too, is the ability I can bend it, but not excessively. I mean, you could just throw that into the bridge and get more range out of it if you wanted, and you can see what I mean. That's the lowest setting. Divide by 5 normal, and then times 5. You can see that's the overloading I was talking about, but I mean that has its own use too. But in this case, I just like to straight go into the frequency. And over here, this was going the frequency as well. You can see it horizontal, but let me go back to vertical of doing this and do frequency and see if anything happens. No, not so much. There's something I had before. Maybe I did have to have it horizontal. So that. And then let's play with the shape changer. I mean, let's try this. I didn't expect trying this, but let's just modulate one of the inputs as well, not going through the shape changer. So let's try this one because it's a little better. Okay. That's really cool. Now for the sake of it, let's just do the gradient out to blue. I really just want to focus on it being the shape changes show, but using this to actually do some more complex things on the out. But let's even, after we do this for a couple more minutes, let's just switch it up and process the prismatic rays when they go out to the shape changer. Let's see. I mean, I really like this goopy type of effect, as if it's like trailing, and having this more slight control um, coming from the little module. I really, really enjoy. Let me put that into the multiply. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that's really, really slick right there. That movement is really nice. It's the minutia. It's minutia. That's like all what this is, and this is all what I feel a lot of video gets into, especially when you want to make complex designs. And I think just even when you sit there, I mean, it's just a completely different world. It's harder. I mean, unless even me, like I'll spend a lot of time with the system, but it's still always is surprising me and catching me off guard. It's very hard for me to perceive, like unless you're doing the same routine all the time, it's hard for me to just directly perceive like, oh, this is what it's gonna do. I mean, you can from the beginning, but after you chain 5 or 6 modules, it's unless you have the same patch for days, it's difficult to just figure out on the fly, which is why this I think is important because it helps you better understand in the moment what is happening and how you can control it. And a lot of it's just paying very close attention to color detail, movement, you know, things like that. Granted, that's difficult in itself, but it is, it's its own study. Um, so now that we've seen this, let me just take everything apart. And what we're going to do this time is take those out. So I guess we're going to filter the prismatic rays first, but then the output, I guess, will just be the stencil and the gradient. That just seems the most logical. And then take out this. So next, we're going to do the in from a prismatic ray here, and then another prismatic ray here. And then we're going to take the horizontal to just the regular out, and then the vertical in, we're going to do the trig out. Okay, so that's what we got so far. Whoa. Wow. That's really interesting. Wow. That is a really cool design. Looks like a dripping apple. So I'm just changing the multiply over here, I mean, I'm not even using the outputs for modulation yet. I've really even taken the horizontal vertical out. We're just taking the stencil and the gradient, and let's just see what it looked like without this, just to give you a vibe. Oops. Why am I doing that? So take these and these. Yeah, I'm just making it hard on myself right now, I know. Okay, so this is just like the range you're getting with the prismatic rays going straight through the shape changer, right? So we'll keep it on this setting, right? So this is what it looks like without it. Yep, and so now we're gonna filter them, and we'll do the regular out into horizontal, and then we'll do trig out into vertical. Okay, completely different, but let's just play around for a second, see what we can get. Let's change some settings. Okay. You can see, obviously, it doesn't directly correlate. As in, you know, oh, it should be in the same wheelhouse, all that, but the whole point is it provides a different layer of density. Like, as you can see, it's not overloading as much as you've seen in other patches. You actually have a little more fine control of it. And in general, that is a cool shape. It's hard to create shapes like that. Even just, you know, doing it as I did before, but this is adding something that's really unique. And so I guess the next step would be, let's modulate, let's take what we did before and take so the trig out, and we'll get another modulation point for that. Sorry, I'm off screen. So next, oh, I have such a bad tendency of hitting that. I apologize. I wish I had a bell. So the trig out, so we're just gonna molt it this time, just for the sake of it, because I want to modulate too. And we're gonna modulate this pedestal. Oh, cool. What just happened? Oh, that's fine. Okay, so again, we're modulating this pedestal. Cool. And then we're gonna then modulate this pedestal. We'll probably switch it around in a second. So that's the different multiples. I'll just keep it in the middle for normal. So I'm going to do frequency here, and then frequency here. Okay, you get that bend again. But let's go back to the shape changer. You can see how bold it is. Obviously, it's just different settings. See, this is where obviously, you know, see that. Okay. Takes time to like figure out, but that type of little control right there is what I'm talking about. Because now, as you can see, look at that, how much more complex that guy was. Originally that, the subtle shift, and then play with pedestal, and then the multiple. Let's go back here, do the same thing. No, it failed. Okay, and so let's just change this to green. And then this gradient is there. I mean, let's just even take the vertical. And then this is a horizontal. So, I mean, there's a lot. Let's do that instead. Let me get that cable that fell. And instead of the gradient, we're just going horizontal to red and vertical to blue. And the stencil is going to green. So let's see what can be done here now. Ooh, that's a nice blue and yellow. Very Easter. Very spring. Oh, this camera's killing me, bud. I guess the next thing would be adding a modulation point. So this is all from the trig out, That's what's going on here. Let's just even switch it to just the output is there, and then the trig out just handles that. See, that's completely different now. I'm even just gonna take out this the other vertical, and that's gonna be to the trig out too, so it's actually both trigged out. No, I'm not a fan of that. So I'm gonna just swap them again. Okay, so we're back to like this green. Since I'm restricting myself, it's obviously a little more challenging to create something. I mean, let's just add some modulation and be done with it and see like what can be done with just some modulation in this setup. Because I don't want to overload this. I really just want to show the workflow of this. Okay. Let's see here. Let's try the pedestal here. I like it, and I can tell it's going to be kind of similar all the way around. Yeah. So let's just keep it over here. I think the curve is pretty nice. That's actually pretty cool. See, that's what I like, is that slight bend. There's something about that to me, and the gradualness of it is really nice. Let's see. Let's go back to horizontal. I think this should be at the pedestal there. And then, yeah, see, there's definitely some interesting subtlety there. Let me try to get, yeah, I wish I could just like get one thin one right there. There we go. That's pretty cool. I really like the density, how it's like white, really powder blue, but then like the green and yellow. That's, I mean, those color schemes are just hard to get. I'm not running it through a mapper or anything. This is just straight to the cadet. And then, yeah, I mean, let's just be weird for a second and take the gradient and just try to, nah, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I mean, let's just okay, so I just switched it to zoom, and as you can see, things just shift fast with this thing. Okay, now I can see the whole logic thing with the brightness of the circuit, and that is really cool. Okay, now I'm pretty satisfied with this. Not that I wasn't before, but you know, it's one of those things I didn't feel like I was getting to anywhere, and then bam, this just happened. That is sick. I really like that design. It just subtle moving of that, and everyone's moving kind of differently. And that's the thing, it's only one modulation point. So if I had multiple modulation points and then, increase this, I kind of like how it was before, but it's one of those things, doors open right there. And you could, with more modulation points, you could do a lot of complex movement and color design. And that's what I think too this is really powerful with, is pairing with something like the Shapechanger. And I mean, again, I'm not going the usual way I go is through the mapper or through the blend matrix into mapper. I just really wanted to explore this like just straight out. And I mean, this is pretty impressive for a system, and I think if you had a smaller system, I think these would be killer. Even with the cadet, like a smaller cadet with the castles, or the DIY cadets with castles, that would be really good. Granted, I haven't got all my parts and everything for the castles, but I will soon. So once they're finished, I think these would be great in a small Pelican case altogether. But yeah, so let's just recap really quick. Originally, we just went through processing, going to prismatic ray into the shape changer, and then processing the horizontal and vertical through the OR gate, and then going the output. So prismatic rays processing with the OR gate. Output is going to the horizontal and vertical, the shape changer, and then the gradient and stencil were going out. then instead of that, we switched it up and reversing it. So this time we have the well, sorry, let's back it up. So yeah, I feel like I completely messed that up. So let me just recap even again. Rewind. Two prismatic rays in, then or two prismatic rays into the shape changer, and then the shape changer was going to the OR gate. That's what it was processing, and so the output of that was going into here plus the stencil, and then we have right now it's just the two prismatic rays going in, then going in a shape changer, horizontal, vertical, and then the vertical and horizontal now going out. Before it was just the stencil and gradient. Um, yeah, and obviously in the previous one it couldn't have been the stencil, and it was actually the output of this coming from the stencil at one point, and also the vertical and horizontal. It's all over the place. You got to watch the video. Now I can't remember what I'm doing. I'm just in the moment, and Alan Lee added one stackable here, which is so I could mult out the trig out to here as modulation points to the prismatic rays. And that's, this way you get these subtle bends right here, the trig out, which I love, and then these pedestals right here. Really cool. And then this LFO is just going into the curve of the shape changer. So, yep. Sorry if that was confusing at the end. That's definitely my bad. But definitely check these out, Mystic Circuits or Gate. And this was just prismatic rays and shape changer and what you can do. Hit me up if you have any questions, and if this was confusing, feel free to bicker at me. I understand. Enjoy. Now.